Hello everybody and welcome to the Honest Mama YouTube channel. My name is Claudia and this YouTube channel that I created, it's hip tips and tricks and anything from how-tos and organization to help my life and to make it a little bit easier in dealing with my little toddler. So I am filming the introduction after I've done the video. There's a recipe there because I was trying to do it step by step, but because we are in quarantine, my child is at home, my husband is at home, so it's really hard to not have the mommy mommy or daddy daddy or the dog barking or everything else. So this is the life. This is the way my life is, so I'm sorry, but I'm gonna try and do a voiceover on the video and I hope you enjoy the recipe. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe and hope you're all safe. Bye!
So the ingredients that we need for this recipe are some breast chicken, 2 eggs, a bit of salt, some pepper, then we would need some ground ginger, and then I am using a teriyaki marinade, but you can also use soya sauce. I am using a stir-fried mixed vegetables, some rice, and that's really it. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of water in a pan and add our rice. So it depends on your quantity, how many people you're doing it for. I'm doing it for 2 adults. Okay, so now we have grabbed our breast of chicken. We have cut it into dices. I like to cut it into small dices. Then we're going to grab our pan with a little bit of olive oil and then place the chicken in the pan. This can be a versatile recipe. Sometimes I use frozen vegetables, sometimes I use fresh vegetables. It all depends. So here we go. We're going to place it on the hob and we're going to cook it until it's golden brown. And as you can see, there's somebody that is definitely wanting to come through into the camera and asking for my attention. So yes, the daily life of the mama. So here we go. We're cooking the chicken. It has colored a little bit and we're just waiting for it to be a little bit browner. And make sure we don't burn it. So the heat should be on a medium to low heat. And there's again trying to move somebody away. Oh God, what am I gonna do? So here we go. So once we have our chicken that we think it's ready, we're gonna get the teriyaki marinated sauce. You pour in the equivalent roughly of 2 tablespoons. If you like more, you're more than welcome to put more of the sauce, or if you don't have a teriyaki sauce, I've also done it with light soya sauce or dark soya sauce. So it's your own preference and really what your family is used to eating. So we are going to move it around in the pan, wait that it's going to caramelize a little bit. Meanwhile, I'm going to stir also the rice in the other pan. Also keeping always an eye on this chicken because it can burn so quickly, as I just said. And once this is done, we're just going to put the chicken aside. So meanwhile, we're going to put our vegetables in the pan, and then once the rice is cooked, obviously we're going to drain it. And we're also going to make sure that we put some cold water through it so that the rice will stop cooking and it doesn't become like a mush. So I kind of hate mushy rice. My rice, yeah. I just it's a petty hate of mine. So here we go with the water. And then we're just going to pop it back into the pan there to drain and set aside until we need it for further further on in our recipe. So in the pan here, I think I've missed recording the step where I'm putting in some frozen vegetables. Here we have I think it's parsnip, carrots, and yeah, that's it. And then I've put some fresh long stems broccoli in myself. So what I've done there, I've put a little bit of olive oil in the pan and a little bit of water, and I've put a lid to make sure that the vegetables will cook through and steam. Here it's your own option how far you want your vegetables cooked. I like the crunch in them, but because I was making this for the three of us and my little Baba had to eat it too, he's not a fan of the crunch. So therefore I was my idea of cooking was to have them kind of as cooked as possible. So obviously I wasn't satisfied, so I added a little bit more water and placed the lid on. So once that is done, I'm going to remove the lid and make sure that most of the water is kind of absorbed in from the pan, and then it's my own choice then afterwards to add more teriyaki marinade. Again, you can leave this out, or you can add it in, and instead of using the teriyaki, you can also use soya, or you can use a sweet chili. It all depends again on what your family likes and what your family is used to eating. So meanwhile, on the side,
so
we're
here
going to
on
crack
this one
our
here,
two
what we
eggs.
have to do
I know
is we have to make
everybody
sure
knows
that
how
we
to crack 2 eggs
keep
in a
the
bowl,
heat
and
at
everybody
a
knows how
medium
to
level.
whisk 2 eggs. But I thought it was a step that had to be shown, and yeah, so sorry. So yeah, we're whisking the egg in a bowl. So once we have whisked our eggs, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it over to the pan. And then what we're trying to achieve here is to scramble the egg in the pan. So my idea of doing this and how I find it quite comfortable is that I move the veg to one side, place the egg to the empty part of the pan. I also move the pan where I'm cooking the egg closer to the hob, so what I'm trying to say is I'm not putting the pan centrally on the hob. I'm kind of moving it more towards where the egg is, underneath the egg. And there I go. I'm going to scramble away and wait for the egg to scramble. God, it's taken a while to scramble. Here we are. We're getting somewhere now. Yeah, my tool is not the best to scramble the egg, so I'm gonna go and get kind of like a wooden spatula so I can scrape the bottom and make sure that I don't burn it. Oh, I'm terrible in burning eggs and pans. I don't know if I'm the only one or if some of yous are the same, but like when I do a scrambled egg, my poor pan or my poor pot afterwards is terrible. Anyway, let's get back to the recipe. So once we have scrambled that egg, we're going to mix it in with the vegetables. Also, you haven't seen me seasoning with salt and pepper, but meanwhile, I do taste as I go along to see how we're getting on with the seasoning. So again, that's your own personal preference, and it's up to you if you want to use it, or some people even omit it, they just leave it out. So once this is all ready and done, the rice was there waiting for me to be placed into the pan, and then we're going to mix everything together. it's starting to look really good. Now I must say, because I did the introduction afterwards, I just want everybody to know that my toddler had 2 bowls. 2 bowls of rice. It's such a satisfaction when you're actually are cooking and it's eaten, and no mess about, no messing about, and it's such a satisfaction. It is a satisfaction when you cook and they just eat away. So here we are. This is our fried rice. So there you go. I'm going to taste away and see exactly what it is missing. And I think I realize it's missing a tiny bit of salt. Now I refrain from using salt as much until the end, because if you're using soya, or especially soya, it can be quite salty. So you want to kind of balance the saltiness out if you're using the soya. The teriyaki, instead, I feel it's not as salty as the soya, so that's why, still though, I refrain, because I'm always scared. You can never really go back from something being too salty, so you can always add, but you can never take it away. So you mix everything all together and our dish is done. I'm tasting again now. And I'm happy. So here we go. Here's one of his bowls. As I said just a few minutes ago, he had 2 of these bowls. 2. And great. And I must say, he always eats it. It's such a quick recipe. And if there is some left over, you can easily put it in a container and freeze it. So I hope you enjoy it and hope you kind of use the recipe. And thank you again.